Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Being Integrity Seminar. Without it, nothing works. Well, what could we be talking about here, huh?
Integrity?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. So again, we're going to go over the preconditions. Show up fully participating with integrity and sharing yourself authentically. Look up and clear your misunderstood words. Be committed to something greater than yourself and be willing to be at cause over change. And first, please read WithoutItNothingWorks.pdf, which was emailed to all registered seminar participants. See the first video of this seminar for registration instructions. Now, of course, what we're talking about is integrity. And integrity is the heart of this seminar. It's actually the heart of all of our work. Because without integrity, nothing works. Your life doesn't work. Your relationships don't work. Your career doesn't work. Your business doesn't work. Even your religion doesn't work without integrity. We've experienced that many times in ISKCON especially. That the lack of integrity in the organization in general made it difficult, if not impossible, to get actual spiritual advancement, even if you were very sincere. So we're going to go through some more material on this issue of integrity. And one of the places where people get all tangled up is the distinctions among integrity, morality, and ethics. What's the difference between integrity, morality, and ethics, and even legality? These are terms that always get confused or confounded, actually, meaning one is taken for the other, and they're all mixed up. Sometimes they're used to refer to the same thing, different terms meaning the same, and other times the same term is used to refer to something different. But what do they really mean?
Whoever looked up those words, huh? Not many.
Not many. Well, people don't look up their words in general. They think a misunderstood word is a not understood word. But it's very easy to recognize a not understood word. You've never heard it before. Yeah. You know, some chemical compound or something like that. You know you don't know what it means. But a common word like a, and, the, if, that, for, such, when, up, down, out. These words are commonly misunderstood. But people don't know they misunderstand. That's a misunderstood word.
They think they understand.
But they don't. Or they take the wrong definition. So anyway, we're going to define these terms elaborately. And this is just the preconditions for a deep discussion. And it's a discussion that actually never ends, because integrity is a job that never ends. You never get done with your integrity. You're always working on it.
Even when we're not discussing, you're supposed to discuss with yourself.
Oh yes. This is the ontic conversation.
The conversation, the internal dialogue.
Right, inquiry into being. Who am I? What am I? What am I doing here? What's my role here? What should I do next? These are big questions that affect everyone. And some people's response to it is to bury their heads in the sand and make believe they don't exist. Just enroll in some program, you know, like a job, for example. A job is a program, a context that uses you. And unfortunately, most jobs will use you up in or into a state, position, or condition of completion or fullness. They'll use you up and spit you out because they're not concerned with your welfare. And our assumption here is that you are concerned with your welfare, and so you're going to pick, or at least you're going to desire, an option that is better than a job, which keeps change at a manageable level, but still enough of it so that we don't get bored and we can engage our full energies. That's what we're doing here. So let's talk about integrity, morality, and ethics defined. Integrity, a state or condition of being whole, complete, unbroken, unimpaired, sound, in perfect condition. Morality, in a given society, in a given era of that society, morality is the generally accepted standard of what is desirable and undesirable, of right and wrong conduct, and what is considered by that society as good or bad behavior of a person, group, or entity. Ethics. In a given group, ethics is the agreed upon standard of what is desirable and undesirable, of right and wrong conduct, of what is considered by that group as good and bad behavior of a person, group, or entity that is a member of the group, and may include defined basis for discipline, including exclusion. So those are our basic definitions. And there's another definition that flows from these, which is one's word defined. A person's word consists of each of the following. 1. What you said. Whatever you have said you will do or will not do, and in the case of doing it on time. 2. What you know. Whatever you know to do or know not to do, and in the case of doing it as you know it is meant to be done, and doing it on time, unless you have explicitly said to the contrary. 3. What is expected. Whatever you are expected to do or not do, even when not explicitly expressed, and in the case of doing it on time, unless you have explicitly said to the contrary. 4. What you say is so. Whenever you have given your word to others as to the existence of something or some state of the world, your word includes being willing to be held accountable that the others would find your evidence for what you have asserted. 5. What you say you stand for. What you stand for, whether expressed in the form of a declaration made to one or more people, or even to yourself, as well as what you hold yourself out to others as standing for, formally declared or not, is a part of your word. 6. The social moral standards, the group ethical standards, and the governmental legal standards of right and wrong, good and bad behavior in the society, groups, and state in which one enjoys the benefits of membership are also part of one's word, unless a. One has explicitly and publicly expressed an intention not to keep one or more of these standards, and b. One is willing to bear the costs of refusing to conform to these standards. Now, this is a lot of information, and we can discuss each of these a little bit now, but in the future we're going to go into each one of these in tremendous depth and detail. And you thought integrity was just about keeping your word. That's what most people think. But actual integrity means a lot more than that. And as we discuss these different aspects of integrity, especially keeping one's word, honoring one's word is the practice of integrity. This is how you do integrity, okay? By honoring your word. In other words, if you give your word and you can't, it's best if you can keep your word and by the time when it's expected. But if you can't do that, you have to immediately inform the people who will be impacted by not keeping your word. Tell them that you're not going to keep your word and negotiate with them a way of making up the difference, of healing the damage caused by not keeping your word. And this could be something trivial like, oh, I just can't make it to the meeting on time. Or it could be something really huge like, hey, our relationship is not working anymore. I'm not going to keep my word that I'm going to love you forever. Sorry. Then you have to negotiate how to work that out. So that is your word. What you said, whatever you have said you will do or will not do, and in the case of doing it on time. Okay? Every promise we make, every declaration that we assert, okay, has a time associated with it. Every time we open our mouths and speak, okay, there is a specific time associated with the promises that we make. So in the article that you should have read as preparatory to this video, he discusses that people do a cost-benefits analysis when the time comes for them to keep their word. Well, let's see. Is keeping my word going to cost me more than breaking my word? In my opinion, you see? But they don't do a cost-benefit analysis at the time of giving their word. Most of the time, they're simply being sincere or being nice.
Good intentions.
Yes, they have good intentions. Yeah, I want to keep my word. But they don't stop and think before they open their mouth, how much is this going to cost me? You see, and how much is it going to cost me if I have to break my word? They don't stop and think about that. That's the time to do your cost-benefit analysis before you give your word. When it comes time for keeping your word or honoring your word, there's no cost-benefit analysis that's valid because the value of integrity is greater than anything else. And we're going to get into this in great detail in this seminar. After all, that's what it's about, being integrity. You didn't know that integrity was such a deep subject, did you? Well, neither did we until we encountered this work. And when we first discovered this material, it was like, wow, that's why that happens. For example, in number 2, what you know. Whatever you know to do or know not to do, and in the case of doing it as you know it is meant to be done, and doing it on time, unless you have explicitly said to the contrary, is part of your word. And guess what? People will hold you to that. If I say, for example, that I'm a teacher, well, then people expect me to teach. I don't have to give an explicit commitment that I'm going to teach because I'm assumed to know teaching. Or if I say I'm a musician, people expect that I'm going to play music and do it well, as it should be done. And if I'm not going to do it at the time when I'm expected to do it, I need to come out and speak to this unexpressed expectation, or people are going to be disappointed. Aren't they? Isn't that what happens in your life? When someone forms an expectation of you that they maybe don't express directly, but you have given them that, oh, I know how to do X. And so they're going to expect you to do X and do it right and do it on time. And if you don't, there's going to be some trouble. You're going to have to deal with having broken your word in order to honor your word. And if you don't honor your word, then there goes your reputation, your integrity, credibility, all that good stuff. To bring this out even more, number 3, what is expected? Whatever you are expected to do or not do, even when not explicitly expressed, and in the case of doing it on time, unless you have explicitly said to the contrary. People have all kinds of expectations when you just walk in the room. How you're going to behave, what you're going to say, how you're going to be with them, and so on. And if you don't meet those expectations, oh my goodness, there's going to be so much trouble. Even though they didn't say anything about it. And we get this all the time in our spiritual teaching work, where people have certain expectations of what a spiritual teacher is. And since we're kind of unique personalities, we don't always meet those expectations. And then there's trouble. Huh? People go, why don't you do X? What was it when we first started this series? We said, we're going to clear the fucking planet. And somebody was upset. Why are you using, what do they call it?
Profanity.
Profanity. Well, this is profane. We're in the world. We talk the way ordinary people talk. That's the way people talk. You can expect us to talk normal. We're going to talk normal, all right? You got a problem with that? So, when we express who we are, people automatically, according to their categories, put up a whole raft of expectations. And if you don't meet those expectations, even though they haven't said anything about it, guess what? There's going to be a problem. So, hey, this is the way the world works, isn't it? Doesn't this happen all the time? So guess what? We are responsible as people of integrity to find out those expectations and to deal with them. Either to meet them as part of honoring our word, or to explicitly decline. For example, what you say is so. Whenever you have given your word to others as to the existence of something or some state of the world, your word includes being willing to be held accountable that the others would find your evidence for what you have asserted. If I say the sky is blue, I'm willing to be held accountable that if you go over to the window and look out, you're going to see the blue sky. But right now it's kind of grayish. Various shades of bluish gray. But anyway, you know what I mean. If I say that if you become a person of integrity, your productivity is going to skyrocket, then you would expect that if you become a person of integrity, according to the description here, that your productivity will skyrocket. And if you don't find it, you're going to come back to me and say, hey, that didn't work. You know, you're going to have a problem. And I don't blame you. So I make sure that whenever I open my mouth and speak, whenever I make an ontological commitment by my word, that if someone looks into the same subject, they're going to find the same things that I did. That's why we're so careful about how we define our terms, so that what we are giving our word to is very, very clearly defined at the time, so that we don't have so much problems with these unexpressed expectations and like that. Now, number 5, what you say you stand for. What you stand for, whether expressed in the form of a declaration made to one or more people, or even to yourself, as well as what you hold yourself out to others as standing for, formally declared or not, is part of your word. Okay? So if I come in, you know, wearing a leather jacket and a cap and a big chain around my belt or something like that, you're going to expect a certain type of behavior. Because why? I may not have said anything, but just my attire bespeaks a certain way of being, right? A certain stand. Or if I come, you know, with beads and white clothes, you know, people are going to think a certain way about what I stand for. Okay? So I found it useful to formally declare what I stand for so that there's no question about it. And especially since coming out of the closet and just being totally open about who we are, it's been such a great relief to just be able to be that, you know, and not have people expect anything else from us, something that we're not, okay? Because then I would have a problem with that, okay? But it doesn't matter whether we like it or not. People are going to hold us to account for what they expect our way of being and our stand to be based on how we hold ourselves out to people. But we hold ourselves out as being into spiritual things and having integrity and having knowledge and like that. Because that's who we are to ourselves. And we don't make any difference, or we try not to make any difference in who we are for ourselves and how we hold ourselves out to others. Yet, people are always bringing their unexpressed expectations, and that's always an issue.
And prejudices and stuff like that?
Biases, prejudices, yeah. Their hypocrisy, their own lack of integrity, holding other people to a standard that they don't follow themselves. We get that all the time. But those are very small people. They're really not worth even taking into account. The best thing we can do for them is try to encourage them to have integrity and actually live according to their own stated beliefs, which so far we've seen with religious people that they tend not to do that. That's very unfortunate. What can we do? We can simply go on with this work and hope that people get it. Now here's another one, and we're going to clarify this in the next video. The social moral standards, the group ethical standards, and the governmental legal standards of right and wrong, good and bad behavior in the society, groups, and state in which one enjoys the benefits of membership are also part of one's word, unless one, A, explicitly and publicly expressed an intention not to keep one or more of these standards, and B, one is willing to bear the costs of refusing to conform to these standards. We're going to discuss all this much more fully in the next video and ones following that. Do you have anything to share before we go on? Yeah, this is a big piece of information. Now, not only do people have integrity, but organizations have integrity. Systems have integrity. Things like cars, computers, transportation systems, and so on.
We all know what happens when a computer system is out of integrity.
Yeah, it crashes.
It crashes.
But for an organization, integrity of an organization is defined as an organization or any human system is in integrity when, 1, it is whole and complete with respect to its word. This includes that nothing is hidden, no deception, no untruths, no violation of contracts or property rights, etc. 2, that is to say, an organization honors its word internally between members of the organization and externally between the organization and those it deals with. This includes what is said by or on behalf of the organization to its members as well as outsiders. This is a huge thing today because most corporations are very deceptive. We don't need to go into that in detail. I think everybody's pretty well familiar with that. But one point is that an organization must honor its word not only to its members but also to those outside. There are plenty of organizations where the members kind of make a pact among themselves that, okay, we're going to honor our word among ourselves. But those people on the outside, well, you know, anything is possible.
Honor among thieves.
Exactly, honor among thieves. So we do not support that view. And the reason we don't is that any organization is only as good as its relationship with its customers, its suppliers, its prospects, its potential employees, and so on. Okay? If an organization has a habit of dealing untruthfully with outsiders, this is eventually going to come to diminish the reputation and the credibility of that organization.
And potential for conflict is great, of course.
Oh, potential for conflict is enormous. I mean, that's always there.
Yeah.
But the lack of integrity simply increases it. So, you would think that people who want to do business and like that would be very, very conscious of integrity and how it plays out in their organization and in their work. But surprisingly, we find that the opposite is true. People think they have integrity because sometimes they keep their word. When it's convenient, okay? When the cost-benefit analysis indicates that, you know, it's not too expensive. But actually what we see is that there's very little integrity in the business and organizational world today. And this is really the cause of what's driving all the insanity in the world and in society. Okay? And we have seen, or we have analyzed, because we often can't see it directly, what goes on inside of organizations, but we've seen that in our own organization, that the lack of integrity within the organization led to it crashing, breaking up. And this was very painful for everyone concerned. So what could we do to stop that? Or what could we do to make that better? Well, we can understand how it is that lack of integrity gets buried in an organization. And here are some reasons why, how it happens. The causes of the veil of invisibility around integrity. 1, integrity is a virtue. For most people and organizations, integrity exists as a virtue rather than as a necessary condition for performance. When held as a virtue rather than as a factor of production, integrity is easily sacrificed when it appears that a person or organization must do so to succeed. For many people, virtue is valued only to the degree that it engenders the admiration of others, and as such it is easily sacrificed, especially when it would not be noticed or can be rationalized. I don't care what they think about me anyway. What do they matter? Sacrificing integrity as a virtue seems no different than sacrificing courteousness or new sinks in the men's room. If integrity is looked at as a virtue is optional. Virtue is something that's nice if you get around to it. It's not considered a necessity in today's world. It's more important to make a profit. It's more important to be successful. It's more important to have stuff than to be liked or to be courteous.
It's normative, so it's based on subjective opinion.
Yes. We'll get into that in the next video, what a normative value is. It's easily sacrificed because it's considered optional. We don't need to have integrity, or we don't. It's not a requirement to have integrity. It's something nice if we get around to it.
Because it's not understood that it's directly related to performance.
Right. Integrity is being whole and complete. And if you're not whole and complete, how can you perform at your best? As much as you are out of integrity, there's going to be a diminished production or diminished performance. And like I said, we will discuss this in great detail in the course, in the body of the course. Right now we're still in the introductory part, just defining our terms. Wait till we really get going. This thing is deep. Number 2, self-deception about being out of integrity. People are mostly unaware that they have not kept their word. All they see is the reason, rationalization, or excuse for not keeping their word. In fact, people systematically deceive themselves about who they have been and what they have done. As Chris Argyris concludes, put simply, people consistently act inconsistently, unaware of the contradiction between their espoused theory and their theory in use, between the way they think they are acting and the way they really act. Because people cannot see their out of integrity behavior, it is impossible for them to see the cause of the unworkability in their lives and organizations, the direct result of their own violations of the law of integrity.
We always have a good reason for not honoring our word.
Don't make me hit you. Don't make me hurt you. It's always somebody else's fault. I didn't keep my word because the bus was late, because I couldn't get online. I didn't meet your expectations, your unexpressed expectations, because, hey, after all, I didn't ever agree to that. You know, there's always the reason, right? That's why in the beginning of the series I was talking disparagingly about reasons. You know, reasons are simply excuses for not honoring your word. That's all. That's all they are. If you didn't do something that you are expected to do, or that you gave your word to, then of course there's some reason, but so what? You still didn't keep your word. Now you have to honor it. That means making up the damage. But people don't realize that they're responsible for making up the damage of not keeping their word. They just use some excuse to justify it. Huh? Oh, the bus was late. Oh, I didn't get paid on time. You know? Or they don't even try. They just like, sorry, sue me, you know? Totally insincere.
I mean, in the beginning, between you and me also, I had a habit of coming up with reasons for why I didn't meet your expectations. You know? And there are always all these reasons you can find, and some of them can be really good, but you learn much more from going inside and trying to see it from the other angle, trying to see how was I out of integrity in that situation.
And what can I do to make it up to the people who I gave my word to? This is very important. It's an ethical condition, especially in groups, when you don't keep your word, of danger. You can put the whole organization in danger by not keeping your word in an important situation. You can become the enemy of your own group by not keeping your word. And then if you just give some excuse and don't try to make up the damage you've done, then you become useless.
Maybe excluded from the group.
That's very likely. So let's continue, because we're only defining our terms here. We're going to get into detailed discussion of every one of these points in the later sessions. Number 3, the belief that integrity is keeping one's word. The belief that integrity is keeping one's word, period, leaves no way to maintain integrity when this is not possible, or when it is inappropriate, or when one simply chooses not to keep one's word. This leads to concealing not keeping one's word, which adds to the veil of invisibility about the impact of violations of the law of integrity. Integrity is a law. It's like gravity. It's not in the normative realm. It's in the objective realm of conditions. So if you have integrity, if you are a person of integrity, you'll honor your word. And if you don't, you're not. It's as simple as that. Okay?
If the system is complete, it's working. But if the system is broken, it will crash.
Yes, eventually. It may limp along for some time, but not at optimal performance. So people believe that integrity simply means keeping your word. And then when they can't, or don't, or won't keep their word, number one, they make up some excuse. If they have to. Better to just kind of let it slide. Not even, just don't even bring it up. Yeah, nobody's going to know. Right? How many times do we violate our agreements with ourselves? Oh, I'm going to stop eating too much heavy food late at night. Or I'm going to exercise, starting tomorrow.
Stop smoking.
Yeah, or drinking coffee, or whatever it is, right? People give their word to themselves, and then when they don't do it, they just blow it off. They don't make it up to themselves, or to others. People say, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do so many other things.
And that makes your word so much less powerful.
Yeah. In India, they have something called Vak Siddhi, which means by keeping your word, you get so powerful, your word becomes so powerful that whatever you say manifests. See? But we know if you're playing a big game in life, it's really impossible to always keep your word. Sometimes things are going to come up that stop you from keeping your word. Like, we want you to get this integrity course. We want you to really get it to where it manifests in your life. But if we do something wrong, if we are not skillful enough at presenting these different points, maybe you won't get it. You see? And then our word to you that the result of this course is going to be a being in integrity, then we can't keep that. But that is going to happen sometimes. Sometimes people are going to come and take the course and they just won't get it. They may choose not to get it. Then what are we going to do? Well, we are still responsible for keeping our word. We're not just going to ignore them. Maybe just, block them on YouTube or something. Or Facebook and make them go away. What are we going to do? We have to openly acknowledge that we have not kept our word and then make some agreement how we can make it up to them. Well, you can take the course again for free or something, until you get it. We're going to make this a free course anyway. But another reason that causes a veil of invisibility around integrity is number 4 here. Fear of acknowledging that you will not be keeping your word. When maintaining your integrity, that is, acknowledging that you are not going to keep your word and cleaning up the mess that results, appears to you as a threat to be avoided, like it was when you were a child, rather than simply a challenge to be dealt with, you will find it difficult to maintain your integrity. When not keeping their word, most people choose the apparent short-term gain of hiding that they will not keep their word. Thus, out of fear, we are blinded to, and therefore mistakenly forfeit, the power and respect that accrue from acknowledging that one will not keep one's word or that one has not kept one's word. I think the most important thing in this is, out of fear, we are blinded to and we forfeit the power and respect that accrue from acknowledging that one will not keep one's word or that one has not kept one's word.
Because there is some pain involved.
There is. Yeah, it's a challenge. It's not the overwhelming threat that it was when we were a child. You broke your promise, punishment and all that. But instead of being punished directly, we get punished indirectly because people think the less of us. It takes a really big person to admit that they did not keep their word, or that they're not going to keep their word, or that they do not intend to keep their word. And to offer to make it up and open a negotiation, open a conversation of, well, how can we make this right? It takes a big person to open that domain of conversation. That's something most of us steer well away from. But in the process, we lose the power and respect that would come if we're big enough to say that. Because after all, if we can say that, it means we are a big person. See? If we can say that, oh, I was wrong, I screwed up, I didn't keep my word, I'm sorry, or it's not going to be possible for me to do what I said I was going to do, what can we do to work this out? See, how can I make it up to you? That's a big person talking. It's just like when you walk into a shop and you see some very beautiful thing. We've been doing a lot of shopping here lately, so I have these examples in my mind. You see something very beautiful that you want to buy, right? Or is very useful, like this microphone or this new iPad or something like that. And it's like, if you have to ask, how much is it? It's almost like, it's not for you, right? Because it's not about how much it is. It's about, is this device or this thing that I'm buying, is this going to help me keep my word? And what price is there to keeping your word? What price is there to being in integrity? You see? A big person doesn't ask the price. You know, if they say if you can afford it, you don't need to ask the price. And if you have to ask the price, you probably can't afford it. Because you know about how much things like that costs, you know. If it's really important to you, you've done your homework. You know approximately what it's worth, what the value is, you know. And, you know, once they check you out and they come up with the bill, you can always say, oh, no, that's too much. I'm not going to keep my word. I'm not going to buy this. You know, I'm going to buy something else instead. How's that? Well, whatever, right? You do not have to make a secret of it. That's very cowardly. And it means you're a small person. You're not big enough to be able to deal with not keeping or not honoring your word. Honoring your word is a big deal. It's for big people. It's for people with room enough that they can admit that they made a mistake or they did something wrong and offer to clean it up. Huh?
Imagine if we had politicians and world leaders like that.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be great?
We would clear the planet.
Hey, that's a great idea. Glad you thought of it.
Do that.
So people are giving up their power, they're giving up their respect and credibility and reputation by being found out later that they didn't keep their word. Because guess what? All secrets eventually are known. All truths come out sooner or later. So, yes, we're all going to find out one of these days that you didn't keep your word. You might as well just admit it and get it over with, take care of it, clean it up, and go on with your life.
And take the value with you from...
Right, right. And not only that, there's always the feeling that the other shoe is going to drop. You know? Like, when are they going to find out? You know? It's this thing that's hanging over your head.
You'll spend all that energy and, you know, thinking about
consciousness, your headspace. It takes up room in your head. Just like misunderstood terms, they take up room in your head. The ambiguous meaning of a misunderstood term consumes much more resources of consciousness and attention and processing power in your brain and emotional pain and trauma. See? Then if everything is clear and every word is understood properly. Similarly, when we don't keep our word and we somehow cover it up or just, you know, don't mention it, sooner or later somebody somewhere is going to figure it out. Mark my words, I've been through this myself. Somebody's going to figure out your big secret. And that's when the other shoe is going to drop. And you know that. Come on, everybody knows it. We've all been through it a million times. Come on. He calls it short-term gain, and it is. The long-term gain is dealing with it, honoring your word, cleaning it up, and going on with it. Going on with the relationship or whatever, the work or whatever it is. Now here's a really good one. Number 5. Integrity is not seen as a factor of production. This leads people to make up false causes and unfounded rationalizations as the sources of failure, which in turn conceals the violation of the law of integrity as the source of the reduction of the opportunity for performance that results in failure. I wanted to mention this. I wanted to share about this with you, Ronnie. Ronnie is making a wonderful series of posts about ontology on Facebook, right? And none of his friends are getting it.
Because they're not trying to get it. They're trying to pick it apart. Eh?
No. Because integrity, to them at least, is not the actual issue. The actual issue is you left Norway and you went down to Spain to be with David Alléon.
Yeah. So in their eyes, I'm out of integrity.
That's right. Because to them, integrity meant keeping your word about being a productive member of society in the way that they understand it. And what you're doing seems irresponsible to them. But they're not making that the issue. They're making something else the issue. So is that issue ever going to be resolved? I don't think so.
Not until we clear the planet, anyway.
Really? So, this is the thing that happens in organizations all the time. Somebody is out of integrity, usually the boss. I've been in so many situations in organizations where the boss keeps changing their word. You go and you do a piece of work, and then, no, that's not good enough. Or, no, the requirements have changed. Or, no, we want to add this feature or that feature. Or, no, we decided our budget is different now, and whatever excuse they can come up with. Okay? The real problem is they're not keeping their word, and they're not honoring their word. But, oh no, that cannot be the reason for failure. If the project fails, it's because so-and-so didn't do his job. He didn't meet the requirements that we changed 50 times, or the schedule that we changed 127 times. It's because of so-and-so. It's because of this. It's because of that. It's because the software didn't work. It's because of, a million and one reasons. Everything but the real reason that we didn't keep our word and we didn't clean it up. What can you do? If people are going to choose to be out integrity, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. But if you want maximum production, maximum efficiency, maximum performance, if you want to improve your performance, the easiest way to do it is to get in your integrity. We're experiencing that here. We're making huge, vast strides, and you'll see with the projects that are coming up that we can't talk about yet, that we're making tremendous strides in understanding how to present these truths to the public and to actually get the result over the internet. Okay? And you'll see some of the projects coming up they're just great, they're brilliant, they're ideas that we never would have even considered before because of our ontological constraints about who we thought we were or what we thought we could do or not do and stuff like that. Now that those constraints are removed, we're looking at things that we never looked at before and say, wow, we could do that and that and that and that, and these things work together, and wow, this is blowing our minds. Yeah. So we're having like a tremendously creative period of brainstorming for the future, and we're looking at all kinds of possibilities that weren't possible a month ago, because we had still so many constraints on who we thought we could be, and we didn't understand clearly yet how much a factor in productivity integrity really is. Now that we have our integrity in and we've removed or relaxed a great number of ontological constraints, we find that our productivity is just soaring. Our creativity is just like totally out of the box. So you're going to see the results of this pretty soon, I hope, within a month or two. And that's when things are going to get really interesting around here. So let's go on. Number 6 is not doing a cost-benefit analysis on giving one's word. When giving their word, most people do not consider fully what it will take to keep that word. That is, people do not do a cost-benefit analysis on giving their word. In effect, when giving their word, most people are merely sincere, well-meaning, or placating someone, and don't even think about what it will take to keep their word. Simply put, this failure to do a cost-benefit analysis on giving one's word is irresponsible. Irresponsible giving of one's word is a major source of the mess left in the lives of people and organizations. People generally do not see the giving of their word as, quote, I am going to make this happen, unquote. But if you are not doing this, you will be out of integrity. Generally, people give their word intending to keep it. That is, they are merely sincere. If anything makes it difficult to deliver, then they provide reasons instead of results. 7. Doing a cost-benefit analysis on honoring one's word. Conversely, people almost universally apply cost-benefit analysis to honoring their word. treating integrity as a matter of cost-benefit analysis guarantees that you will not be a person of integrity. Why? Huh? Because I'll give my word to anything. Oh yeah, sure, I'll do it. No problem. Yeah, by tomorrow? Oh yeah, definitely. For sure.
We want to please everyone.
Yes. And then when tomorrow comes, uh-oh, it's not ready.
Pissed everyone up instead.
It's not done. Or if I was going to get it done on time, I would have to like put aside everything else and just totally concentrate on this, and that's not going to happen. So forget it. Huh? So people do the cost-benefit analysis in the wrong place. They do it at the time of keeping or honoring their word instead of at the time of giving their word. See? And that's nonsense. Because if you don't honor your word, yeah, maybe you can not keep your word sometimes, but if you don't honor your word, you're going to be out of integrity. And there's nothing more costly than that. So, these are all the causes, or not all of them, but many of the causes of the fact that honoring your word or being in integrity is not like the most important issue discussed in organizations and societies, even though it actually is. And you'll be amazed. I mean, you probably already think it's a good idea to have integrity, or you wouldn't be taking this course. But you will be amazed when you get your integrity in the way that we define it in this course. How it will transform your life. It'll transform your consciousness. It'll give you so much happiness, so much personal satisfaction. There's no way to express it, you know. And your whole life just starts to work so much better, you know. The reason that our lives don't work is that we are out of integrity. And what that means is that we don't honor our word.
To others, but first and foremost to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So, questions, comments, and considerations. Identify one or two people you know who are out of integrity. In what way are they used by their context for integrity? In what way does their context for integrity shape the opportunities they see? In what way does it shape how they react to challenges? In what way does it shape their way of being, their thinking and planning, and their actions? Look at your own feelings and attitudes toward integrity. In what ways are you used by your context for integrity? In what ways does your context for integrity drive what you say and do? In what way does your context for integrity drive your engagement with developing yourself in being a leader and exercising leadership effectively? Identify an organization that is out of integrity. In what ways did its lack of integrity affect the efficiency of its operations and quality of its products? How could being in integrity have improved things?
Wow. Something for the conspiracy geeks, huh?
Oh yeah. Something for everybody here. Your responses. Please write your responses to the questions questions in this section of the seminar and email to davidaleonseminars@gmail.com. Subject, Being Integrity 7, responses. Well, that's it for today. I guess we discussed integrity deeper than we ever have, but still, like I said, this is just the beginning of this course, and we're going to go far deeper into all these subjects and points in great detail. So thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, Hare Krishna.